Can we get started, please?
Yes, please. Jesus. Hello, and welcome to episode 220 of the Super Weapon Podcast, most overpowered podcast on the internet. It's your boy Darius the Artist, and as always, got my co-host DC here with me today.
What up, though? Y'all getting the two pistols today. Pow, pow, pow.
Ooh.
Yes, I'm actually very excited for today's conversation. I'm glad to have you guys here, and
welcome back, man. First of all, welcome back. You know, if you guys missed last episode,
my face is back.
Yeah, DC, he was having
I got a smooth voice again.
Had to deal with some internet problems, man, but very, very happy to have you back on the episode. You can see him, guys, in motion. You know, we got the budget back. He can move again, so he's not just a picture of the internet.
Veronica's not here, so you know.
Oh yeah, she had budget cuts, guys. You know,
budget cuts. We're gonna have her back this summer once you know. Yeah, Patreon. Yeah, woo. All right.
What size sweaters or shirts do we wear, Tori? I'm gonna have to get back to you on that because I'm fat now, man. So I'll text you. I don't really know what size sweater I wear. That's a very good question.
Random question.
That's a random and good question. I will get back to you on that. I know it's not what I used to be, so. But we got a good episode this week, man. A lot of news coming from the industry, the game industry. You know, I did want to try to squeeze in some time to talk about Fantastic Four trailer at the end, but we'll see. But I really kind of wanted to jump into the Capcom spotlight that happened this past week. You know, Capcom really has been on fire, you know, the last couple of years with game releases, announcements. I really feel like they've really, you know, they're one of the premier developers, I would like to say, in the industry right now, man. I think it's fair to say that. So, you know, they had a surprise event this past week. I guess it was a surprise. I mean, it's a surprise to me. But, you know, they talked about 4 games coming up. If you guys hear sirens in the background, I do apologize. You know, it's just always exciting times around where I live. But, you know, let's start talking about some of the announcements that they had. The first one being Street Fighter 6. I kind of wanted to jump off the conversation with this because we haven't talked about Street Fighter in a while, and Street Fighter 6, I think, out of the last few major fighting games we've gotten over the last couple of years, is the one that's really sticking around the most. You know, because we had Mortal Kombat. We also had what was the third one that I'm thinking? I'm blanking on the third game that came out not too long ago. Tekken. Thank you. I don't really hear too much about those games. Tekken 8, thank you, Weeding. Yeah, I don't really hear as much from those games nowadays. I know Street Fighter's still going strong in the Capcom Cup and their seasonal releases, and so we finally got a gameplay trailer for Mai, and she's from Fatal Fury. If you guys aren't familiar with the franchise, it's another fighting game series. You know, I really got to take some time to get back into Street Fighter, man. Shout out to our boy Darkstar, man, because I know he still plays religiously. And I mean, the game just still looks really good, man, in my opinion. You know, I like I said, I put this game out of my mind for a while, and I know you had been playing it a couple months ago. Have you still been kind of dabbling in Street Fighter 6? You know, have you been looking forward to any of this stuff?
I play from time to time. It's just, man, it's so hard to find time for everything.
Yeah, true.
But I played maybe a couple of weeks ago, honestly. I just because I used to stream it. So I guess since I stopped streaming it, like, I guess people think that I don't still play it. But every now and then, you know, I got my fight stick back there. I got I get the little urge to jump on Big Mama. And it's funny, true story, I have yet to use any other character.
As a true fighting gamer should, man. You know, you shouldn't
the house of
deviate.
Grapple.
Yeah. You know, we're a house of grappling around here, man. What was the name of that character that you use? I forget her name, man. I'm drawing a blank here. Marisa. Yeah, I was gonna say Marika, but yes, Marisa. She's actually. I think grapplers have gotten a little bit better over the last couple of patches they've had.
A beast now.
Yeah,
he's a beast now.
Shout out to the red Russian missile, man. My boy Zangief, man. We love Zangief around here, man. But yeah, like this just looks great, man. You know, I think she is the second to last character that is coming out for this character season. and I wonder what they're gonna do after that. I'm sure we'll probably get a few more characters for the game, but traditionally Street Fighter,
It's
they'll
4 a year, right?
yeah they did four. I think it was Akuma. Let me actually look it up. I don't want to lie to you guys.
Yeah, I think it's 4 a year.
Street Fighter.
I don't have any of the. Maybe I should start picking someone outside of the mother of Grapple.
I think it was season 2 characters. Let's see. Let's look at the roster.
Oh God! Once the modders get their hands on this.
Yeah, and her and Terry it's Alina, Bison, Terry, and Mai. And I think Alina and Bison are out.
I'm tired of the disrespect. I'm tired of the disrespect. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the disrespect, man.
What's the disrespect, man? What are you talking about?
Every Street Fighter since Street Fighter 3 has been disrespecting my boy, bro. What's my guy name, man? I just forgot his name. Sean. Why y'all doing that to my boy?
Oh, you know what? What was the last
I'm so tired
game
of him
Sean was in?
3. He ain't been in shit.
Didn't he technically die? Or what was his I can't remember.
That's even worse.
Oh, no. I'm thinking about somebody different. Yeah, Sean hasn't appeared in a game in a while. Yeah, it would be cool to see him
in a while. Come on, bro.
Because I remember him. Yeah, he was like a big Ken fan. Like Ken was like his #1 favorite fighter. Yeah,
he used to hit you with the basketball before the match started.
Yeah.
Quit disrespecting my boy. Y'all, you know what? You know what's some bullshit? Because they had Dan whack ass.
Come on, man. You're not a fan of Dan? Come on. He's a great comic relief.
I guess, bro.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Sean would be cool. Maybe we'll get him in a future update. That'd be kind of tight, actually.
You know what? I'm gonna write Capcom every day.
Wish list. So yeah, if you guys are looking for Street Fighter, they are starting the Capcom Pro Tour up again, $1 million prize pool, I believe for the grand finals, which is actually pretty tight. So, shout out to Capcom once again, man. Street Fighter just seems like it's one of those games that has kind of stuck around over the last few years. Tekken 8, like I said, I don't really hear a whole lot about Tekken 8, and Mortal Kombat really kind of fell off, man, which is just really sad. It had a strong
buddy system. They threw me off with that weird.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know what it is. That co-fighting your little partner.
Yeah, it's kind of like you tag them in and stuff. Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Marvel, kind of like Marvel versus series where you could.
No, but on Tekken, it seemed like you relied on them way more because you're doing combos and shit with them. Like the Marvel series, they just came in and throw something and then bounce off the screen.
Well, it just depends though. I mean, because Marvel, you could really get creative with combos and stuff, especially like Marvel vs. Capcom, right? Like, and it just I don't know if it played really well, at least in my opinion, for Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat seems like a slower game, like a more deliberate fighter, but I think a lot of the problems with that game, and Darkstar could probably talk about it too, man. It's just, it seemed like there were like balance issues, technical problems with the game. Yeah, Dragon Ball Fighter Z as well, Brick. That's actually a really great call out too. Fighter Z, I couldn't jive with Fighter Z because you couldn't turn off the auto combos, man. If they would have given you the ability to do that, I would have loved Fighter Z. And I know there's people who still really enjoy that game. I would love to see a sequel to it, honestly. Maybe with some characters from Super, because I know they added them over time, but I wonder if they're ever going to do anything as far as like a sequel to Fighter Z. Because it's been gosh, man, how long now? Like
probably about
like 7-8 years or something like that since Dragon Ball Fighters came out. Like that was a pretty long time ago. And I mean, people obviously aren't playing like the latest Budokai game. They're just enjoying that for fun. Like nobody's like competing in that. So, but yeah, that was that game. There was another. We could talk about the Capcom fighting game collection as well, or the fighting collection.
Part 2.
Yeah, the fighting collection.
I think it's the second collection.
Yes. Yeah. This one, I actually was really hyped for this because of the pre-order announcements. The fact that Power Stone 2 is in this, man, is like, that's probably like the one reason why I want to buy this. And we actually got a release date for this is May 16th of this year, which is pretty cool. And, I don't think we give enough credit to fighting game music. Like I love Capcom soundtracks,
music and the
man.
backgrounds.
Yes,
as well.
my gosh, man. Like here, I can actually play a little bit of it, guys. I don't want it to be too loud, and I don't want YouTube to randomly copyright strike us. But here, let's unmute it. Like Power Stone, like come on, man. Like, you never really played Power Stone, did you? I think we talked about Power Stone before.
I had it. I actually had Power Stone when I bought my Dreamcast.
Dreamcast is the greatest console of all time. Let's just go ahead and throw that out there.
I would say 360 then Dreamcast.
Like definitely.
Because they were both ahead of their time with internet connection.
Yes. But yes, man. Like Power Stone 2 is one of those games that's really like it holds a fond place in my heart, man. Like it's just something that I have always loved, and I mean this collection looks incredible, man. You have everything from Power Stone to Street Fighter Alpha, whatever this game. I'm not too familiar with this one on the screen here. Plasma Sword. Like I don't know if you've ever played that. Like that's something that I've never heard of.
Yeah, I played all these horrible fighting games.
That's something that's new to me. I promise you,
because it was this arcade. Well, actually, it was just a corner store near my house where I used to live as a kid.
Yeah,
and they always had like a very good game. Like it'd be like a Street Fighter and a Mortal Kombat. Then it was like I don't know what the money in a budget was about because of their second arcade would always be some cheesy fighting game. So I played a lot of C-list, as I like to call them, fighting games.
It's funny, like you really don't remember. Like it's crazy, like seeing some of these. Like I don't remember a lot of these older fighting games. Like Alpha 3 is definitely. I think Alpha 3 is probably the first fighting game that I really played. You know, outside of like Street Fighter 2, that I like. You know, that I played to the point where I wanted to get good at.
My shit.
Yeah, Darkstalkers that's actually a really good callback too. And of course, you know they actually included Capcom versus SNK as well. This was one that I didn't really play a whole lot of. I don't have too many memories of Capcom versus SNK, but I know a couple of our friends really played it. And I think it was a cult. It had a cult following. But I mean, this is just another W from Capcom's book. They're taking the nostalgia that people have for some of their older franchises and giving it to people in modern times. Because I mean, the unfortunate part is a lot of these games you can't really purchase through traditional means or through like digital marketplaces right now, which is unfortunate. And unless you're like an avid collector, like our good friend Weenie in chat, man. These games are pretty hard to come by, but this collection actually looks pretty cool. Like, I'm actually interested in purchasing this. Like, I think I might pick it up when it comes out in May. Like I said, if nothing else, just for Power Stone. Like, Power Stone will get, it's worth the money for me, man. And, we'll see how it plays like online and everything. Hopefully they've kind of figured that stuff out. I'm curious how they've gotten like those features working. But I'm like stupid excited for this. Like this is probably my second favorite announcement from the Capcom showcase. So this was cool, man. Shout out once again to Capcom, and we of course we'll talk about Monster Hunter later. But I wanted to talk about
Monster Hunter was like the grand finale.
Yeah, Monster Hunter of course was the end. So after they showed those first two announcements, they talked about Onimusha, and I'm just glad that this series is back. Because Onimusha it holds a near and dear part of my heart, man. Like Onimusha is one of those series I played on PlayStation growing up. And I'm glad to see it's back. We didn't really get a new look at the new game that they're working on, Way of the Sword, but we got some cool details. And they were kind of talking about how, this game isn't going to be super difficult, but it's going to be rewarding. And, the focus is obviously going to be on, sword combat and katana combat. And that the game is based in Edo, Japan, which I think is awesome. If you guys have never played an Onimusha game, they're I don't want to say historical pieces in the way that it's telling like a factual story, but it's based in those like older time periods in Japan, and you are a samurai fighting demons, but they're called Genma. And like I said, like Capcom over the last couple of years have done a great job bringing back some of their most beloved series. And I think it's been about 20 years since we've gotten a new Onimusha game. Are you excited about this? Have you ever played Onimusha, man? That's something I wanted to ask you. I didn't know if you know too much about any of the series, or if you had a chance
I
to play any of these.
have. I haven't really kept up with this for whatever reason, but I don't know. I'm open to learning more about the series, but
Yeah,
no, it was never really. I never really kept up with it like that.
it was never something that you played. I mean, it's a fun series, man. They just released, I think it was the first games remaster in 2018. And along with
Mm.
this announcement for Way of the Sword, which is coming out in 2026, we're actually getting a remaster for Onimusha 2, which is my personal favorite. And I am so fucking excited for Onimusha 2. That was the game that really put me on to the series. And the trailer is so funny because it has one of my favorite characters in it who you fight. His name is Gogen Dantas. He's like this. He's this really arrogant Genma, like this really arrogant demon. He calls himself the greatest swordsman in the land, and he's one of the hardest fucking bosses in the game, actually. But I'm just like super jazzed for this, man. Like, if you guys have never checked out Onimusha, like I highly, highly recommend it. It's one of those series, I think. And I don't know how you feel about this. Like, I feel like a lot of games nowadays, like games back when we were growing up, just had a different feel to them. Where I think somebody described it best, like Ninja Gaiden is just a gamer's video game. Like, if that makes sense, it's just like a
I
fun
get
action
it. It's
game. You
like
know what
a
I mean?
fun, basic time.
Yeah, like it's
Like it's
not
not.
doing
What do
too
they call
much
it?
or
Yeah, it's like God. I'm trying to find the words for it. I can't think of it right now, but yeah, sometimes you don't really want to turn your brain all the way on. Sometimes you just want to clash and bash and beat your way through stuff, or
yeah,
sometimes it's just mindless fun because you're thinking all day, you're stressing yourself out. Some like I have those type of games. I have those type of games, so I get it.
yeah. You don't really have like I honestly I think since like Soulsborne games became more popular in the industry, you don't have those action. Those just kind of like I don't want to say like button mashers, but those the Devil May Cries, those type of games. Like,
Hmm.
and that's not to say that the Onimusha games were along those lines. I kind of put Onimusha in the same vein of a kind of like a more strategic action game where you can't just button mash, especially against bosses,
Right.
and you have the ability to absorb like like when you kill the demons and the Genma in the games, like you have the ability to absorb their souls and you get like special abilities, healing and stuff like that. There's different functions for the souls that you absorb, and
Okay. Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
looking at it now.
yeah, and like a lot of times you had to kind of weigh your options on when you could absorb, because if there's still enemies around you needed to heal, you have to stand still essentially to absorb their soul. So it kind of plays in a little bit into that. And I hope we don't just this game just doesn't take a page out of, like, it would be cool to see this game kind of take a page out of, I guess, of Ghost of Tsushima, where that game was actually very deliberate in the action. You can counter enemies and things like that. Like, I would be actually pretty fine with that. I just don't want it to. I hope this isn't just like another Souls-like game, which is what I think they were
Right.
hinting at when they were saying, "Hey, this isn't going to just be an impossibly difficult game that the average person, hopefully the average person, I guess, will be able to play this." And I really do think this is going to be a great game. Like I said, Capcom, they just seem like they have, at least with their development teams, a really good handle on culture and the idea of the games that they want to make. And even though we haven't seen a lot of this game, like even in just like some of these quick action scenes, it looks like you'll have the ability to parry attacks, at least in some form or fashion. But like I'm just super super excited for this, man. Like this is definitely up there for me in terms of games. And yeah, it doesn't
These
come
kind
out
of
till next year, but
ninja, samurai, they really hitting their stride with these types of games for like
Seems
what
like
the
it,
past
right?
couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like these samurai, just that whole aesthetic over there.
Yeah.
It's a thing. I mean, look at you got Assassin's Creed coming up, then you got Ghost of Tsushima 2. Yeah, that
Yeah. Yeah. True.
and
Ghost of
they
Yotei
and they
does come
seem
out
to be
this year.
doing
That's a
well
good point.
too. Yeah, they seem to be doing well too. So
Man,
I'm expecting to see more games like it.
I think so, man. I would honestly would love to see a return of action games. You don't really have a lot of those. I mean, even when was the like when did Bayonetta 3 came out? It was a couple of years ago. The last Devil May Cry that came out, it did pretty well. DMC5
So
was
you saying
received
you
pretty
want to go
well.
back to a simpler time?
Yeah, I wouldn't say necessarily simpler, but I just feel like the success of Souls-like games has kind of overshadowed these type of video games. You know,
Exactly.
and I think that studios, of course, will follow trends in some regards where they feel like, especially in the AAA space, when they want to, you know, you have a certain amount of money that you're being given to create a successful product, and you know, you have to, I don't want to say guarantee a return on investment, but I feel like that's a lot of the case. And
Oh
not
yeah.
you know what I mean, not like, and honestly, every Soulsborne game, they're not all created equal. In my humble opinion, like some of them, there's tiers of Soulsborne games out there. You know, obviously, you know, your Elden Rings, your Dark Souls, those games kind of said, even Sekiro. Sekiro was you know, a lot of people really adored that game when it released. You know, if we can get something kind of in the middle ground, like I don't want something obviously that's just super easy, but you know, if we could get something that's a little bit challenging, a little bit more challenging, that still kind of evokes the spirit of Onimusha, like I'm all for that. You know, because like I said, this is definitely like up there for me as terms of game series. Like as far as favorite game series I grew up playing, like Onimusha
That's
2
good
came out in
stuff.
2002, I think. Like it's been that long. Like, and I think Onimusha 3 came out in like 2007, 2008. Like it's been a long time since we've gotten an Onimusha game. So I'm hopeful that, you know, Capcom kind of continues this winning streak, and you know we'll see where we kind of land. You know, hopefully we'll see some more of this game, and you know we don't have a release date for the remaster of Onimusha 2, but I'm 100% buying it. Like, and I need to play the first game. Like, I don't remember much about Onimusha 1, but you know, a lot of people, you know, once again, that was like the first game for a lot of people as well. That was the one that set the tone for people. But 2 is just, I remember struggling on that
Mm,
game, man. I remember the
the
struggle.
more well refined game.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, they all kind of like have their, some of them have their own story, but there's kind of like a common thread, especially in the first 3 games. You know, there's some, you know, cool historical figures and everything. You know, Noba, you know, Obunaga and everything. Like, there's some really cool, like, you know, if you guys enjoy that part of, you know, Japanese history, it's actually pretty cool. So yeah, Rise of the Ronin as well. How could I forget about that one? That one's definitely up there as well. A lot of people are. I think I've heard good things about Rise of the Ronin, but I had no. Damn, it's been a year already since Rise of the Ronin came out. My goodness.
Yes.
So
Times fly. Time flies when you got good games to play, man. I'm telling you.
yeah, it really does. So, and of course, we got to talk about Monster Hunter, man. We can't. I would be remiss if we don't mention this game.
The
This
greatest
this was
game
their
of all time.
definitely highlight of the show for Capcom. You know, this game is a couple of weeks away, February 28th, and it's having 2 betas. One that's going on this weekend until Sunday, February 9th, and then there's going to be another beta next week, the 13th through the 16th. And it's going to be on, you know, all platforms, PS5, Series X and S, and Steam. So if you guys are curious about Monster Hunter, man, like if you've never played a Monster Hunter game, download the beta. Like
Give it a try.
it is absolutely an incredible series. You know, my first true Monster Hunter game was World, and to say I'm excited for Wilds is like an understatement. This honestly is probably going to be my game of the year. And with the announcements that we got, you know, as far as, you know, being able to produce layered armor, you know, all the cosmetics and stuff that they showed off at the showcase, like I can't gush any more about this game than I already have. and I wish it was already here. And I
Oh
know
my
you
god.
you played a little bit of World when we first got it on Xbox. Are you looking forward to Monster Hunter, man? I know we haven't really talked much about it. I haven't really had a chance to talk to you about it a lot, but
Well, we've had the Monster Hunter conversation. I want to say about several times now. I'm new to the series, and I'm willing, and I want to learn more about it.
yeah,
The more I learned about it, the more I started to enjoy it because I was playing it wrong. Um, Once you realize what it is, like the preparation and stuff, and the stuff that goes into these hunts,
yeah,
it can be a little bit overwhelming in the beginning, but I think they do a good job with the community because the community
yeah,
they will help you out, like especially if like you're new to the series. I'll speak for myself. I'll speak for me. All my experiences in the community has been very well so far, and that's kind of how I learned how to play the game and playing with you guys, like playing
yeah.
with the community and people just
One of the
giving you
nicest gaming
tips.
communities out there for sure, and that's a rare thing nowadays. I hate to say it, but it really is.
Yeah, so just talking to random people, I'm like, hey, like, okay, well, who are you fighting? Like, what are you fighting? Do you have this? Do you have that? You should have this because you're fighting this. I'm like,
Yeah,
once you realize that technical aspect of it, I promise you, you will have a good time. You will enjoy the game, and I'm very excited to see like what new parts of the hunt that they'll add to this one. And what I mean by that is like, will you have these techniques to where maybe certain monsters you got to catch, certain just these weird little hunt elements. Like I just wonder how they going to add on to something that's already well executed. You
yeah.
know what I'm saying? So it is a lot going for this game, and to see what they improve on is going to be great. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. I know a lot of my friends are big monster, hunter guys, including yourself. So I'm ready for it, man. I'm hype.
Yeah, I'm really curious how the open world aspects of this game are going to function. Because this is the first time you're going to have like 100-player lobbies and the ability to just essentially walk out into the hunting area, into the wild, which is something that they've never done before. And
See,
I'm
little stuff like
always
that.
yeah, and I think it's cool that you can customize your camps. Like if you guys are shout out to our audio listeners, if you guys are watching on stream, like you see all the different customization stuff. Like this is the stuff that creates longevity in games, in my opinion. Is the customization options. Players love seeing this kind of stuff, as well as, like I said, the layered armor to where you can change the look of your armor without affecting your stats and stuff. Like that stuff is what keeps people engaged for a long time. And I'm really
Because
curious.
everybody wants to look unique in these
Yeah,
type of games. If you're going to make it like open to where you're going to be interacting with other people, you got to be flashy, man. What's up, BZ in the
you
chat?
gotta put your drip on, man. You gotta have the drip, especially for your palico, your little cat friend, your cat companion. You get to
My
customize all of that
Palico.
stuff. Like character customization looks really sick, and I can't wait to see the screenshots people are gonna take with photo mode and stuff. Like this is, I think, gonna be
And this is me right here.
yeah,
This is where I
especially
shine.
you
I
love photo
love
mode.
photo mode. I got so many pictures of Cyberpunk, boy.
Yeah, which is fire. I mean, that's what people want to see. Like, I think this is gonna be an incredible experience for everyone, especially, I mean, and even if you guys are newer to the game, they've added stuff into wilds to make, especially like from a UI standpoint, to make it easier for a newer player to kind of get accustomed to the game itself. And another thing I really love about Monster Hunter, just in general, like the amount of weapons that you have to choose from, all of them are viable. This game has 14 weapons starting out, which sounds like a lot. Each has its own like pros, cons, move sets and everything like that. But each weapon, there isn't necessarily like a bad weapon to use against a monster, especially with the ability to craft weapons that do more damage to certain monster types. That like elemental weapons and stun. You like there's just so much to really kind of customize how you want to play the game, which is excellent. Like I think this is gonna be in my opinion, this is like the first huge release of the year. You know, that I think I read yesterday there were over 200,000 people playing the beta yesterday, which is just like, come on, this game's actually gonna sell. Like, there's no way this game does not make Capcom money hand over fist. And I mean, you could just tell, like, you know, watching developer interviews and everything, that they're really passionate about this game and that they're excited for it. And, you know, like I said, definitely February 20th can't get here soon enough for me, man. Like, I'm like more than ready for this. And yeah, definitely shout out to BZ, man. BZ's a big Monster Hunter aficionado himself, and you know, I can't wait to see the content, you know, from him and plenty of other people that, you know, will get their hands on this, man. This is going to be like an incredible series. So yeah, I think this might be game of the year after Grand Theft Auto 6, because Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to come out this year. So, you know, everything's competing against that. But
no comment.
I think this game definitely might be. This is going to be my personal game of the year. I can already feel that in my bones. Like, and I think I have bad luck with getting excited for games before they release. Like, every time I get excited for a game, it comes out and it's awful. But I just don't think, I don't see that.
You trying to trick yourself?
No, I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen with Monster Hunter. I really don't see it happening that way. Just me.
No, personally. This game, it just looked, from what I've seen so far, even in the beta.
BZ. He said Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out December 31st at 11:59 p.m.
And it's going to be a broken game.
No, it's not, man. I'm not subscribing to that. I don't think the single player is going to be broken. They haven't released a broken single player.
It's not going to be broken. See, it's not going to be broken in a sense that you think of. It's going to be broken in the fact that the single player campaign is 2 hours.
I don't even think it's going to be that. I don't agree with that. I don't. Just based off of Red Dead 2, I don't think so. I don't know.
Bro, they trying to get straight to that online stuff, bro.
We'll see, man.
Unfortunately, a good story doesn't make you money these days.
That's one of the few things we disagree on wholeheartedly. Like, I 100% disagree with that. I don't think we're gonna get multiplayer until next year, like summer of next year, if at the earliest. Everyone's PS5 Pros are gonna blow up when they play. Everything that isn't, 100%. Nothing. There's no way that GTA 6 is gonna be running.
You're gonna have a 6 series to run it.
People are gonna end up taping PS5 Pros together just to run GTA 6. Man, it's gonna be a glorious time. So
imagine that download. This thing gonna be like.
That's a good question, Chad. How many gigs do you think? Yeah, I was gonna say. What do you guys think the gigabyte size for GTA 6 is going to be? I think it's going to be close to 200. There's no way. 500 gigs? That's insane. Yep. You downloading Planet Earth, weenie? That's insane, man. Jesus Christ.
I second that 500. Maybe they can compress it to like 445.
Yo, imagine people who only have 500 gig consoles. That's it. That's the only game you get to play. That's wild. You guys are insane, man. 500 gig texture packs. Imagine, right? GTA 6 4K texture pack, $5. Because they're going to get their money, man. Woo. They're going to get their bread from you. So, but yeah, February 28th, man, we're definitely going to put something together for Monster Hunter. This is, like I said, first big release of the year for us. So, you know, not counting Avowed, of course. So I feel bad for Avowed. I honestly do. I think that game's going to be great. And I think people are going to forget about it the day this comes out. So I'm excited either way for it, man.
A bit like, sheesh.
It's tough, man. You know, and you know, the sad thing is Avowed got delayed from November. It was supposed to come out last November. But they delayed it till February.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
Because it looks good.
Yeah, and that game looks excellent, man. Like, it's unfortunate that these games are going to be knocking up against each other. So, but for our final story, you know,
Monster is unbeatable. Monster Hunter is unbeatable.
I really do think this game's going to sell like 3 to 5 million copies that first week. That's just a prediction. 9 out of 10 out of 10s. Like, I feel like Monster Hunter is going to be the talk of the town for First couple weeks in March.
I'm not. That's a sure bet.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to bet against you on that, buddy.
I think this game is going to be absolutely incredible. So we'll definitely be doing more coverage of Monster Hunter when it comes out, guys. So if you guys are Monster Hunter fans, man, come hang out with us when it releases.
Yeah, and our residential playboy over here, the Monster Hunter himself, Beezy.
Yeah, Beezy is he's gonna be carrying everybody, man. He said he's doing day one carries, so make sure you guys follow the Beezy on all platforms, man. That's DAOBEEZY. Make sure you guys follow him everywhere, and then tell him that he promised to do it. Don't let him talk you out of it. So don't let him walk it back.
Yeah, don't let him walk it back because he will try.
Yeah, if he calls us liars, he told us in private. We have the DMs. So, but yeah, let's talk about our last story of the day, man. This one's actually pretty sad.
One.
Yeah, this is pretty sad and an unfortunato, man. We got some news from Bioware that came out. Talking from EA, they had their CEO made some very interesting comments, and this is basically more about Dragon Age Veilguard and how the game didn't sell super well. It didn't sell well according to their expectations. Let me say that.
It sold like shit.
No, it didn't. I think, and we're gonna talk about it. I think that. So I did do some research that Dragon Age actually sold, I think, 1 million copies or close to 1 million copies.
This one?
Veilguard, yeah.
That's not bad.
But they were expecting 3. They think it sold like 1.5, and they're expecting 3 million copies.
But ain't that the name of the game now anyway?
Well, and that's exactly what I was gonna get to. Like, I feel like Bioware has been put in an impossible situation by themselves and EA, because I'm not absolving Bioware of their current state at all. We've talked about Bioware at length before and how especially after the end of Mass Effect 3, how they've kind of just fumbled around, lost talent, really kind of directionless as far as what they wanted to do for games. And Veilguard seemed like it reviewed well from official outlets, but gamer sentiment, in my opinion, weighs a lot heavier when it comes to public perception of a video game itself, and it didn't seem like it landed that well with a lot of players. I'm not a Dragon Age fan myself. This was something I wasn't going to play anyway, but when I look back at just like the troubled development of the game, because I think this game was in development for close to a decade.
Ooh.
And it unfortunately resulted in layoffs from BioWare and EA absorbing some talent from BioWare into other staff, into staffing other projects. Word on the street is they have maybe 100 developers working at the studio, which is just like a shell of what BioWare was before, and that they've gone full production on the next Mass Effect game. But the thing that kind of has me worried is like the comments that the EA CEO released talking about live service games and shared world features, especially with Mass Effect coming up. Like, this just kind of has me a little worried. So
no, yeah, ooh,
and I have one of the quotes here where he says, "Now, speaking in an investor-focused financial call, he suggested that role-playing games need to have shared world features and deeper engagement alongside high-quality narratives. In order to break out beyond the core audience, games need to directly connect to the evolving demands of players who increasingly seek shared world features and deeper engagement alongside high-quality narratives in this beloved category." And I think that's kind of ironic, right? Because Dragon Age was going to be a multiplayer game. Like, it started out as a multiplayer project, and they hit the reset button a few different times to the point where they, eventually settled on doing a single player story. And it didn't, like I said, it didn't seem like it landed, from whether the tone of the game, wasn't your cup of tea, or like the gameplay itself just didn't land for people. This really has me worried. Like, I really honestly feel like Mass Effect is BioWare's last chance at salvation. Like, I kind of see them, like, if Mass Effect doesn't sell well, the studio's future it could be up in the air, honestly.
They're gone.
Yeah, like,
it sucks to say it, but that's just the name of the game, man. Like we've talked about it a billion times on here. You could be a amazing studio one year getting all the praise, and you're just one hit away from like
Yeah.
losing it all. The industry is kind of scary like that, especially now with all these gaming companies and stuff trying to monetize every little thing because production costs and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's whew,
I think
and
EA has
I
kind of been
hate to
in
see it.
trouble
I
lately.
hate to see it, man. Oh man.
Yeah,
Well,
it sucks. Like Bioware has been one of those studios that's been around for such a long time.
it's like another one bites the
Yeah.
dust, right?
Hmm.
Like it just seemed like all the studios we came up on is struggling to, just tread water right now.
I'll say this much because I was actually thinking, because if we get to the point where EA kind of forces their hand on having some sort of multiplayer features, I would hope they do something along the lines of Mass Effect 3, where you had the multiplayer, kind of like horde mode style game, and that had an effect on like the overall war, your war resources in the main game. Like I hope it's something additive like that
Yeah.
instead of giving me a multiplayer Mass Effect, a fully multiplayer Mass Effect game. Because it's been four
I just
years. We got this announcement for Mass Effect 5 4 years ago, and they're just now starting like full development. So this game is still years away. Like I don't imagine we're gonna see this game this generation. I would actually be surprised if we see Mass Effect 5 this generation.
that's
And
definitely scary.
yeah, it is. I mean, because like I said, you look at the development of Veilguard and how many times they started over, people leaving the company. And yes, there are still most of the people, from what I've been reading, most of the people who are working on this game are veterans of the Mass Effect franchise, including Mike Gamble. He's studio head, and he's been around. He's been around since Bioware, I think, started. He was on Twitter talking about a week or two ago, and he assured fans that Mass Effect 5 is going to be a traditional Mass Effect experience. But then you have the CEO come out and make comments like this. Just kind of makes you wonder, man. Like,
Are
how
they all even on the same page over there? Like,
right? Like how much goodwill is that gonna buy the community, especially with the unfortunate turnout of Dragon Age. I mean, and who's to say we ever see Dragon Age ever again? Like that could be another thing. That's another thing I was thinking about. It's like Dragon Age is one of the few franchises that Bioware has worked on over the last couple of decades, and it could be gone forever. They could have put it could be on the shelf. I
yep.
mean, it's just unfortunate. I like my expectations for Mass Effect 5 are already kind of tempered, but now it's just like I'm cautious now. You know,
Yeah, especially with that amount of people, if that's true,
a
a
hundred
hundred
developers,
people,
yeah,
100 developers for a game is massive as Mass Effect.
yeah,
Ooh.
and that's even like then you start thinking about like scale, right? Like, is this game gonna be? I mean, the Mass Effect games they were longer RPGs just because the amount of different choices you had to make. But I can't
Right.
imagine, if you give me something in that range of three, I'm okay with that. I would rather the game be a tighter experience and it still have that traditional Mass Effect DNA versus something that's bloated and kind of feel like it's overstaying its welcome. We've talked about that a lot
Right.
with certain games here, like certain games that just kind
Yeah,
of,
I love to see things end.
yeah,
I am a big person for seeing things end.
right,
Like it doesn't have to be because what happens is it's like, oh well, this made us a nice amount of money. We
yeah,
can make one more, right? And I'm like, that's when you usually get the really bad fluff. Like
yeah.
when you in a movie theater or wherever, you like, y'all really didn't need to make a another part of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I mean, I always reference Mass Effect. Oh my God, The Last of Us 2 as a game that, in my opinion, I think kind of overstayed its welcome a little bit in terms of story. That game
Hmm.
was just, especially with how emotionally taxing that game was for a gamer to play. I would rather a game be shorter, and I wonder if this is what they're going for, but based off of his quotes, like, multiplayer games are expensive to make. I mean, you look at what Sony has done over the last few months, and they've kind of like repivoted from trying to make live service games because they realized that that's not the way to go. I mean, and let's not forget about Anthem. We can't forget about our favorite game, Anthem, man. Like,
the one who paved the way.
Anthem had potential. Once again, that's another Bioware game that had potential, but it didn't really have longevity.
Was that the start of the end for Bioware?
No, I think it was Mass Effect. Honestly, Andromeda was the.
Yeah, it was. Yep, can't forget that.
I think that was the end. I mean, you can't, and I'm gonna keep saying this, unless you hire people who have experience making those types of games. If you try to make a single player or a RPG based studio flip from making those type of games to a live service game, it doesn't work half the time. A lot of times it just does not work. I think it can go from the other way, like a multiplayer studio to a single player game. I look at a studio like Playground, who's making Fable. Same studio that's made Forza Horizon. You're going from a multiplayer game to like a single player game. Like, I think that it's easier than the other way around. And
good point.
Look at WB Games. They have Rocksteady going from Suicide Squad to, allegedly they're making another Batman single player game. Why were they not doing that in the first place? Right. Look at where Suicide Squad ended up.
Nobody asked for it.
I don't know, man. Like, this definitely, like, makes me sad. I hope that BioWare comes out on the other end of this. But if we're being quite honest, my faith in EA has been shaken over the last few years, especially with their mismanagement of Apex and a couple of other series that they have under their belt. They're trying to build goodwill again with Battlefield right now, with Battlefield Labs, I think it's called, where they have people signing up to play and test out stuff for Battlefield right now because Apex.
It's looking good, man.
Yeah, Apex seems like it's trying to right the ship over there with their latest announcements for season 24, but one has to wonder if those things are too late. Multiplayer games are tough, especially if you lose your audience.
It's hard to bounce back from that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for studios to come back from those things. I mean, you just kind of look at where shit is, man. It's hard. I mean, especially with the success of games like Marvel Rivals right now, like how that's, moved a lot of the collective multiplayer shooters, people who play multiplayer shooter games over to that. I don't know. Like, I'm really worried about BioWare, and the fact that we probably won't see anything Mass Effect related for it. I would say at least 3 years. I would be shocked if we see anything before 3 years. Because they weren't working on it, like, as far as like full production until Veilguard just released, and then they just laid off a bunch of people. So
yeah, that's true.
I would
3 might be being too nice.
Yeah, I mean, I wish just like, I'm gonna take a page out of your book, man, and like what you say all the time is like, I wish studios would really stop announcing some games ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because it gets to this, you start getting to this point and players start to get a little worried. Another game that I think about is Elder Scrolls 6. I randomly think about that game every once in a while. It's been 6 years since that announcement trailer, which is insane to even say out loud. And like, where's that game at in development? We probably won't see that this generation. You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting, man.
So that game getting to a place where state of play is when you, in my book, I'm announcing something.
That's fair. Yeah, until we see it in like a direct or something, or a summer showcase.
I don't like the whole had this big drawn out with a number with a date on it. Like, you didn't show me anything, nothing. You just showed me a date. Oh, Dragon Age, something. Like, Like, bruh, so now you got these people. It's 6 years and counting. So
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
I think we saw Veilguard 3 years before it released, 3 or 4 years, because they, like I said, they started over development from it being a multiplayer game, and now you have the CEO. It's like, well, maybe it should have been. Like, what are we
Exactly.
talking about here, sir? Like, we probably should have stuck to our guns on that. I don't think it would have been great. That's just my personal opinion, man.
It's
But
all a shake of the dice, man. And it's some people in some places making some hard ass decisions, boy.
I don't envy I
Yeah.
don't envy studio creative directors, and I mean they just like you said, yeah, I couldn't imagine dealing with some of the stuff that they deal with on the day. Like, games are some of the best things on earth, man. It's like entertainment, storytelling. But with where the industry is now, I don't envy game developers at all. My heart goes out to y'all because
They
one,
put in all that time.
yeah.
I'm talking about it be years just to like come out and not do well. That'll drive me nuts.
Or see people online like actively like shitting on the game and then sending you death threats, and some of that stuff is just way out of pocket, man.
Y'all got to relax, man.
Yeah.
Gotta relax.
So, but yeah, I mean, we'll definitely. I'm definitely gonna keep my eyes on Bioware, man. And if anything else pops up, we guys are we're definitely gonna be the first ones to talk about it as often as we can, man. But yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap her and dapper, man. Hey, welcome back, DC, to the. Let's get a round of applause for our guy DC, man. Not having internet for 2 weeks, basically being in prison. Living life by
Yes.
candlelight, as I like to say, man. It's good to have you back.
4x4 in sale. Straight out of jail. Into your podcast ears, baby.
we glad you're back with us, man. So next weekend, guys, just a quick little blurb before we get out of here. We will be recording next Sunday, around 11 a.m. Eastern, our usual time. We're taking Saturday off. Your boy has another important test to take, and hopefully I'll pass it. And I'll let you guys know if I don't pass, you guys won't ever hear about it. I'm just kidding. I'll tell you either way. But I just want to say, man, quick shout out, of course, to Beezy, man. Thank you for hanging out as always. Thank you for the raid as well. Thank you guys for the gifted subs, the bits, the resubs. It's always this was a great welcome back. Yeah, I would say, to our regularly scheduled programming, man. And I appreciate everything you guys do for us around here, man. Shout out to my wife, of course. Biggest support system I got behind me. And I love her very dearly. And I love you guys too, chat, man. Don't really have a whole lot for y'all. Happy Valentine's Day to, people out there, as we get to celebrate that next week and everything.
Love.
So, yeah, celebrate love and all that jazz, man. Thank you guys for hanging out for episode 220, man. If you guys are new around here, we record this podcast every Saturday here at twitch.tv/DariusTheArtist. We like to have a good time, man. Have fun. If you guys are in chat, hang around. We're going to play some video games. And you guys can find me everywhere. Darius the Artist on Twitter. Darius the Artist where E is a 3. I'm never calling it X. So don't correct me. Thanks. DC, you got the floor.
Yeah, baby. Follow me on all of my socials too. _1LDC_ If you can't find me, I wasn't meant to be found.
Ooh, it's a treasure.
Anyway, another beautiful session. I feel glad to be back with a regular voice and a face. See all of my peoples. Nice little welcome back. We dropped a nice little double episode on the YouTube. Dropped 2 episodes. 218 and 219.
Yes.
I'm just trying to get caught back up from coming out of my cave. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to take it easy. We're going to build this thing up, and it's beautiful and nice outside. If you're in the South, go outside and enjoy the sun. If you're up north, cover your buns.
Ooh, put a hat on. Thank you guys for hanging out, man. It's going to be the end of the episode. We will catch you guys next time. Peace.